Welcome to Bourbon Bites Whiskey Reviews with a gaming twist. I'm your host Clifton, and welcome to another Thursday night live stream. Tonight we are revisiting a brand that I did a stream on about 6 months ago. Really fell in love with some of their products, and now we have even more of them to try. Thanks to our buddy Michael from Whiskey Sensory Shenanigans. Make sure to go subscribe to his YouTube channel. I'll put a link to it down in the description below after this live stream. But we are trying some brand new and revisiting some of the releases that we tried on that stream and doing a little side-by-side now that we have some bottled and bond bourbon releases to compare them to. So I am very, very excited for tonight. If you saw the thumbnail, we're going to be trying the bottled and bond bourbon and the bottled and bond rye, along with revisiting the Van Duzen rye and a different batch of the Foggy Burl Distillery edition, which is their single malt release. So I'm very excited to revisit a couple of those and try some brand new ones. Hopefully you are too. If you're watching the replay, hello, welcome. Feel free to leave a thumbs up and a comment down below what your favorite Redwood Empire release is. If you've never had them, well, welcome in. Definitely check out the first stream I did, like I said, about 6 months ago. I kind of went a little bit more into the history of the brand. They're based in Northern California, which I am also based in California. So it's really fun to try a whiskey brand out of the West Coast. So yeah, I'm really excited. I've not had their bottle and bond releases. Like I said, we have the Grizzly Beast and the Rocket Top Rye. I've heard so much about them, but I've not had a chance to try. So I'm very, very excited to get to these. I do want to say hello to a few folks that are tuning in live tonight. Of course, Tony Bag of Donuts. He said, who listened to the podcast today? I hope someone at Buffalo Trace did. Yes. So if you guys didn't know, I restarted back up the podcast after taking a few weeks off over the holidays just to do some traveling and just kind of do a little bit of a reset. So there is a brand new episode that just premiered this morning where I reviewed this very special sample from a very special friend, Van Winkle, Lot B, from Mr. Tony Bag of Donuts. It's the 2023 release. If you want to hear my first impression, very, very first time having Van Winkle Lot B, I will say it definitely impressed me more than I thought it would based on the perception that I feel like some people have about it. So check out that replay. Thank you again, Tony, for the sample. It was so much fun. Like I said, it's on the Bourbon Bites podcast. You can find it here on YouTube, or you can find it wherever you get your podcasts. Just search Bourbon Bites Podcast. Looking forward to picking that back up and doing new episodes every week where we talk about the latest news and bring you fun bite-sized reviews like that one. Speaking of bite-sized reviews, last plug for the minute, I've been uploading some of my top 10 whiskeys of the year cut downs over on TikTok and Instagram. So if you're curious about seeing shortened version of my reviews, please go show those some love. I'm kind of just testing out the format to see if it does well, just kind of giving you a really truly bite-sized review, less than 1 minute. If you do like those, make sure to leave a comment on Instagram or TikTok, whichever your platform of choice is. And let me know you like them, because some of them I'm getting pretty good engagement. Some of them I'm like, people are like, why is he doing this? I just feel like it's kind of a nice way to revisit some of my reviews in a short format versus having to rewatch a full live stream. So that was my thought behind it. Hopefully you guys like it. And yeah, so let me know what you guys think of those. I have about 5 more to upload. I'm going to do my full top 10 as an individual video. So go show those some love. I'm excited to be putting those out and kind of just testing the waters for the short form review format. So yeah, who else is here? Michael's here. Oh, cool. Good to see him here in the chat. As well as Zophar, Alfonso. Good to see you, my friend. Alfonso and Patrick and I were just doing a gaming session over on Twitch. I said I was done with the plugs. Here's another one. If you guys want to see some random gaming streams when we go live, it's usually Tuesday or Wednesday evenings, maybe sometimes over the weekend. Twitch.tv/Bourbon Bites. Just follow over there. I'll send a notification when I go live there. But it's always a ton of fun playing with these guys. We get into some hilarious situations. Doug and Taste and Sensibility is here as well. Doug, cheers to you, my friend. Hope you are doing well. But Michael's in the chat. He says, good evening, all of you wonderful whiskey people. Just got home from teaching a class. I just like effing traffic. I don't blame you. I will say, I've kind of been out of the loop with traffic. I've been, ever since getting back home from visiting the Carolinas for Christmas, I really haven't driven anywhere. And then I actually wanted to go to Costco yesterday, so I attempted to get in my car only for it not to start. I think the battery is dead, or it's gone like almost a month without being driven. So yeah, I need to get on that. I need to get out the, they have like a portable battery thing. You can tell I'm very knowledgeable I can't even say knowledgeable. I'm very knowledgeable about cars. Hopefully that's the problem, because I don't know what else I would do if it's not just the battery. Let's see. Fred is here in the chat. Fred was also part of the gaming stream. Sorry, I missed you in the shout out. Fred was there as well. I guess you'll have to listen to Fred, Cliffy, or I just gave it away. Listen to. Oh, you have to. I guess you'll just have to listen, Fred, or Cliffy just give it away. I don't know. Oh, the review? Oh, I have a feeling that he dunked on it. Okay, sorry, I missed that comment from Fred. Yeah, honestly, go check it out. Go check it out. No spoilers. Even though it kind of spoiled it a little bit. Short form, the more we can get from you, the better. Well, you can always enjoy both. That's why I do these live streams, and that's why I do the shorter podcasts and the even shorter bite-sized review. A little bit of something for everyone, but what I need is a little bit of something. I need some bourbon in my glass. So let me know what you guys are drinking in the chat, or if you're watching the replay, let me know in the comments what you're drinking. I'm going to have my first pour of Redwood Empire tonight. So, not my first pour ever, but my first pour tonight. So we're going to start with the bourbon, because we have a few ryes, and then we have a small batch single malt. So we're going to start with the bourbon. So let me use the bourbon, the Independent Joe glass for the bourbon. Let's get that. Grizzly Beast Bottle and Bond. Again, love the labels here. Redwood Empire Grizzly Beast Bottle and Bond 5-year batch number 5. And I pulled up the info here on the website just so I can reference it while we are drinking this release. This is the latest release as far as I can tell. At least the latest release on their website. This is the 2025 release of this one. It is a bonded straight bourbon whiskey. It is, let's see what they have to say about here. Okay, they say, this rare bonded straight bourbon whiskey was aged in the temperate climate of the Northern California coast and bottled on the Strict Act of the Bottle and Bond Act of 1897. Each release can only be made from barrels we produce within a 6-month time span, giving them true seasonal variants batch over batch. Collectible and one of a kind, these bottled and bond batches will never be replicated and are ever changing. This is the purest expression of Redwood Empire's craft. That's what they say on their website. Let's go and get that poured. By the way, this one's won quite a bit of awards. It was named one of the top 100 American whiskeys by Fred Minnick back in 2022. It was a gold medal winner at the TAG Global Spirits Awards, and it got a 95 points on the tasting panel and a 93 points on the Sunset International Spirit Competition. So just wanted to make sure that was all good to go. Sorry, some of you are I'm in a group chat with some of you, so I was making sure you guys weren't saying anything like wrong with the stream. So I just want to make sure. Okay, so I got that poured here. Like I said, 5 years old, bottled and bond, so it's going to be 100 proof. Honestly, their bourbon, I think the last one I did on the last stream was a cask strength release, if I remember correctly. So this one's going to be proof down to 100 proof. We do have some even more details here on their website, by the way. The lot size was 120 barrels. This was bottled in August of 2025, distilled in spring of 2020. Oh, sorry, distilled in spring of 2020, which was not not the ideal time to be working out in the whiskey industry. But you know what? They got it bottled, they got it barreled, and we're enjoying it here today. Mash bill is 67% corn, 17% rye, 10% wheat, and 6% malted barley. So this is indeed a 4-grain bourbon whiskey. Very fun. Sipping. Oh, so I asked what you guys are sipping. So it sounds like Doug is sipping on the Willet 4-year rye. Nice. I saw a bottle of that yesterday at the grocery store. I haven't had it, but I thought about buying it. Sorry, I have had it, but I haven't had it in a while. I thought about picking it up and doing a little comparison to the, you can't see it, but it's the Willet 4-year bourbon that I reviewed on the podcast a few weeks back. Michael is cracking open the Redwood Empire Haystack Needle single barrel that he helped pick with whiskey bonded for the Bonded Bottle Shop. 51% corn. I think that's 51. These are a lot of numbers. I think that's 51% corn, 44% rye, 2.5% barley, and 2.5% wheat is my guess. 9-year, 6-month, 118.4 proof. Ooh, that sounds nice. Well, we're starting off easy with a 100 proof whiskey here tonight. So I'm really excited to see 5-year-old bourbon from Northern California. Let's give it a nose. Yeah, I love trying well-aged bourbons from different regions from around the world. or obviously around the country because bourbon can only be made in the U.S. But what I'm saying is like this has a distinct note that's very different from what I expect from like a Kentucky bourbon. Well, because it's made on the complete opposite coast. It almost feels like the oak is it's there, but it's a little more. Let me get another nose of that. The oak is there, but it's expressing itself more of like a the weird thing that comes to mind, the first thing that comes to me is like a toy chest, like the kind of not even quite like a cedar chest, but like a toy chest, like a just an old oak wooden box. It has that kind of vintage oaky quality to it. I'm wondering if I don't know exactly where they're getting their barrels from, but that oak itself is very unique. I'm wondering if maybe it's like a local like cooperage or something. I'm not quite sure. The oak is that's what's standing out to me here. This smells very different because the oak smells different. Little grain influence there. I mean, it's definitely got the corn sweetness, but there's a little bit more going on here. When I say 17% rye, so not super high rye, but with that 17% rye, 10% wheat, and 6% malted barley, there's a decent concentration of other grains in here as well that are standing out a little bit beyond the oak a bit. Fred said that was weird. YouTube decided I wasn't subscribed for a minute. Yes, I've heard that YouTube's been having some issues. I saw Sugar Kitty made a comment during Perry's stream that there were some issues. So if YouTube's showing that you're not subscribed, just make sure to subscribe for 1 minute or less, or longer. I should say 1 minute or longer, and then you can chat because YouTube. I turn on the subscriber only mode for my live chat if you're watching live, only because it keeps the bots out. The bots have overtaken my stream way too often. But a bot will never subscribe to me, so I hope you're better than those bots and you'll think about subscribing. All right, with that, let's go ahead and give this a taste. Cheers, y'all. Sweet. Like sweet, almost like a candy sweetness. Less of like a dessert, like a baked dessert, but almost more of like I'm thinking of a lollipop, like a blow pop or a Tootsie Pop. There's got like a bright candy shell kind of sweetness on the tip of the palate, which is different, definitely very different than anything I've had before. But it's like a fruity, it's like a cherry or like definitely a red fruit sweetness on the tip of the tongue. Let me go for a second sip. You know what's interesting is like that malted barley is coming through. I was reading the fun fact they have on their website. They say this is the highest percent of malted barley we've ever featured in Grizzly Beast, and it cuts and it cuts through our corn and provides a new unique layer of complexity to this release. That's what I was gonna say. The barley flavor, even though it's only 6% barley, it's definitely hanging on. I think that's what I was getting. I said there's a bit of a grain quality beyond just the corn sweetness. I think it was that malted barley. And actually, I said that before I read the fun fact. So that's definitely a fun fact because it is ringing true. That's what's kind of giving it kind of a bit of a, not, okay, so what this reminds me of is the Tin Cup 6-year American whiskey, which is a blend of a bourbon whiskey, a younger bourbon whiskey, 6 years old, and some 6-year malt whiskey from Colorado. It's kind of giving me that element. I think that's just that malted barley really showing here. And I do like it. It's definitely different. Not my typical bourbon profile I find myself grabbing towards. So not to say that I don't think it's good. It's just not something I would, consider my favorite palate on a bourbon. But very well aged, very good flavor. I do like that sweetness. Let me go back for the taste one more time just to see if I can get beyond that candy layer to see what's at the center of a Redwood pop. Yeah, really to me, it's like a sticky, syrupy candy. Really bright. The oak's not really very present on the palate. I mean, there's a little bit of like a... No, not really. It's honestly, the deeper I was looking for like an oak note, the more I'm finding maybe a little bit of like a pie crust. Like that's the most, in terms of dessertiness, it's like 90% candy, 10% pie crust, which sounds like a weird combo, but yeah, it's a solid bourbon whiskey. Pricing wise on this one, I don't have it here on the website, but I can quickly do a little Google Grizzly Beast Redwood. See how much that goes for. $80. Okay. Okay, there's a reason that I've not tried these bottled and bond releases from Redwood Empire. It's not that I don't think they're good. I just see an $80 price point on a 5-year-old bonded bourbon. And that scares me a little bit. I know to make a bonded bourbon, it has to be quite a bit, more strict with the regulations. Their distilling season, bonded rickhouse, I get all that. But I see $80 and I see a 5-year-old bourbon, and I'm like, a little hesitant on that. So now that I've tried it, I still, wouldn't personally pick up this bottle just because it's not my favorite flavor profile. But if you do like Redwood Empire's bourbon flavor profile and you want to experience this at 100 proof, 5 years old, I think it's solid. I think it's a little overpriced for what it is, which is kind of my theory I had about it before I tried it. But it's not bad. Thank you again, Michael, for sharing. I'm glad I had a chance to try it. We're going to try the rye here shortly and see if I feel the same or differently. Because sometimes younger rye to me has impressed me more than younger bourbon. And I say that all the time. Rye to me can be younger and still amazing. So I'm going to set that over here. Maybe revisit it here in a bit, or maybe on our after party hangout. We'll see. I do want to get caught up on the chat, make sure I didn't miss anything. Fred said he force quit the app and checked for an update. Tony said fun fact. I said that before I read the fun fact. They called it a fun fact. I didn't call it a fun fact. Oh, and then Michael said I paid $80. Nice. Yeah, okay. Yeah, just to me, it's not my favorite flavor profile, but I think it is a good bourbon. It doesn't taste crafty by any means. I will say that grain quality from that malted barley is a little bit different than what I'm used to, so it kind of may come across as crafty as some people, but I think it's just we're tasting that grain, and I think that's a unique aspect about it that I think is pretty enjoyable. Tony and Anthony and Tony Joey coming in with their thumbs up. Thank you guys for hitting the thumbs up on your multiple accounts. I don't encourage you guys to use multiple accounts, but if you do have multiple accounts and you want to hit the thumbs up button, it does help out. I wish I could see the number of thumbs up here on OBS. It shows me the number of viewers, but it doesn't show me the number of likes. So I'd love to be like, thanks so-and-so for the thumbs up. All right, enough of that. Let's go on and move to the next whiskey here. So this one, consider it the twin brother of the Grizzly Beast. Fraternal, not identical twin brother. So this is let me find it. There we go. Rocket Top Straight Rye Whiskey. This is also batch number 5. Bottled and bond. It's going to sound very familiar, guys. Bottled and bond, 5-year-old, batch number 5, rye whiskey. So again, came out in 2025, same as the Grizzly Beast. This is just their rye whiskey version. Also scored Top 100 American Whiskey by Fred Minnick. Got Best in Show by the TAG Global Spirit Awards. 95 points from the tasting panel and 95 points from wine enthusiasts. So a few different sources there. I do love a good proof, good age rye whiskey. So I'm excited for this one. According to their website, this rare bonded rye whiskey was bottled under... It's almost exactly the same, but it does add to the fact that it says it's aged in temperate climate of Northern California coast. The original distillate was altered only by the addition of pure water from the Russian River Valley aquifer. The bonded whiskey is the purest expression of the Redwood Empire craft. Nice. This was distilled, again, spring 2020, bottled August 2025. This lot was only 69 barrels, so about half as many barrels as their bourbon. And again, as with the other one, the same fun fact, the highest percent of malted barley they've ever featured in a Rocket Top release. So mash bill is 85% rye, 11% malted barley, and 4% wheat. So there's no corn. So it's 85% rye, 11% malted barley, 4% wheat. I've never seen that mash bill, but I'm very excited to give it a try. Michael said these bottled and bonds are just going to keep getting older every year. their blender. Lauren told you. Nice. Yeah. Yeah. And I think they're gonna get better with that as well. I just hope the age doesn't creep up as well. Patrick's here, Bourbon New. What's up, Patrick? He is a Bite Club member who has been making some incredible gaming videos on our. What's the new Instagram? Patrick, drop the username so people can follow the Instagram for some of our gaming clips. Tony said, Michael, you've had so many name changes. You could have 7 accounts. You're right. He could. Very true. So batch 6 will be 6 years. Gotcha. Okay. So batch 5 years. Makes sense. Totally get it. Awesome. Multiple thumbs up. Oh, Doug's coming in with the alternate account. Doug, cheers to you, my friend. Listen, I know it sounds ridiculous, but YouTube the algorithm is all based on interactions and likes and things like that. So anytime you guys comment after I do a live stream, like on the replay, that does help it in the YouTube rankings. It does mean a lot. Same with Instagram and TikTok, those new releases, those new bite-sized short reviews I've been putting. Every time you comment or like on it, it does start suggesting it to other people. So it does make a difference whether you believe it or not. Cask and Pixels, thank you. You guys go follow Cask and Pixels on Instagram. Patrick's going to start uploading some of our funny gaming clips there, as well as some of us as well. John Arpass, whiskey in the chat. Cheers to you, my friend. Thank you for tuning in. We're about to have our second whiskey, which is the Rocket Top Rye, 5-year-old bottled and bond rye whiskey from Redwood Empire. Let's go and give it a nose. Ooh, okay, candy as well. This was more candy on the nose. Very sweet, almost like a stevia, sweeter than sugar on the nose. But it's not just sweet. There's a bit of a... It's very clearly like a maple note. I was going to say like the wood itself, because there's more oak on the nose in this than there was in the bourbon. The oak is expressing itself very well, but there's a sweetness tied with that either reminds me of like a bit of a sap or like a maple syrup because it's so sweet. Really lovely nose. I mean, that gets me really excited for this one. I had a feeling I would like the rye a little bit better, but that nose is like really ultra sweet. Okay. It's as if they made a maple syrup instead of real sugar, they put in stevia. So it's even sweeter than regular maple syrup, a little on the nose. Hopefully not on the palate, because I will say I don't love stevia as a sugar replacement. I do love my zero sugar sodas. I tend to stick to like Coke Zero or Pepsi Zero. I forget which artificial sugar in that. I think it's different than Diet Coke and Diet Pepsi. To me, those have that weird fake artificial sweetness thing. Stevia doesn't taste artificial to me. Stevia just tastes too sweet. So on the nose, it's giving stevia. Maybe on the palate, it'll be a little more mellowed out. So let's go ahead and give it a try. This is the Redwood Empire Rocket Top Straight Rye Whiskey. Cheers. I keep wanting to call it Red Rocket, and I'm like, that's not what it's called. Sorry. Cheers. Ooh, yeah. Okay. Instant reaction there. This is really good. And I'm excited to see how it compares to the Van Duzen rye, which, by the way, I picked up a bottle of. This one, I think, was my second place. Michael, you may remember better than me. Whenever we did the live stream where you gave me the first set of samples, this one definitely wasn't my favorite, but it was on sale at K&L. And I was like, I remember like liking it enough to buy it at a discount. So I bought this and actually brought it to Kentucky for its Bourbon Night meetup, but forgot to pull it out of my suitcase. So no one got to try it there, but I brought it back home with me. So there was plenty of bourbon and whiskey there. So it's not like I like intentionally didn't bring it out. It's just there was already so much other things to share. But I can't remember why specifically I didn't love that the first time we had it. But that's why we're revisiting it here tonight after this pour. I wanted to try the Bottle and Bond expression first because this one is a special release. I think it's quite a bit more in price as well. So we'll talk about that one in just a second. But we'll keep going with our Rocket Top Rye. Nowhere near as sweet on the palate. There's a little bit of smokiness, almost like a toasted barrel. I don't know what their chars and heavy toast, heavy char. I'm not sure about that, but there is a bit of like an ashy kind of smokiness that kind of is working really well with that little bit of maple note that I was getting on the nose. It isn't as it does taste kind of youthful. I mean, again, it's 5 years old, so that's to be expected. It's not like I'm expecting this to be, even though I say typically a rye whiskey tastes older than a bourbon at the same age, I still think 5 years is relatively young for a rye whiskey. So I think this has some room to grow. I'm excited to see where this goes in the next 3 to 5 years. I think this mash bill is so unique. Like I said, 85% rye, 11% malted barley, 4% wheat. Haven't seen that done before anywhere. So I think that's going to bring a lot of fun to this as it ages. Yeah, really nice. I mean, to me that's very reminiscent of like how I like my Manhattans. I don't like them too sweet. So like with the sweet vermouth, I put just a little bit less than normal as recommended, and then I put a little bit more bitters to kind of make up for it, and then maybe a little bit more whiskey too. But to me, this has that flavor that I really love in a good Manhattan cocktail. A little bit of sweetness. There's even a bit of the bitter already in this. This reminds me a lot of, there was an early Sagamore release where they aged their rye whiskey in like sweet vermouth barrels. They aged it in different things to make up a Manhattan, like the different ingredients and parts of a Manhattan. So that was a fun experimental release. This kind of has some of those qualities to it that makes me think that it drinks like a cocktail in a glass. And to me, that's a good thing, because then I don't have to waste more ingredients. I can just pour this over ice or chill it a bit, and I'm good to go. I do like this a lot. As you can tell, I'm a big fan of this one. Getting caught up on the chat. Fred said, if you don't believe me, you're wrong. Did I say that? He says Clifton 2026. I didn't say that. Sounds like someone else that's in office. Tony says, Michael, has there been multiple releases of Beast and Rocket? Mine are from a few years ago. Yes. So each batch is a different year. I think he said that a little bit earlier in the chat. So batch 5 is 5 years. I don't know if it's always been that way, but there have been 5 batches so far. And this is the 2025 batch that I'm having for both the bourbon and the rye. So there are multiple batches for sure. Fred says stevia tastes chemically to me, even though it's supposed to be natural. To me, it's just like overly sweet, which I think I could see being interpreted as chemically as well. Red Rocket. One a year. It's going to be annual from now on. And of course, the artwork is awesome. It is. I don't have this bottle to show you, but if you check out the thumbnail, you can see the artwork for the bottle there. M's here. What's up, M? Good to see you. I like sweet and dry vermouth in Manhattan. Oh, I see you like perfect Manhattan style. I haven't had one of those in a minute. The reason why is when I thought to make it, I had a dry vermouth that I didn't like. I didn't want to waste a good sweet vermouth with a bad dry vermouth, so I didn't make it. So I'll have to make that soon. It's on the internet, Clifton, so it's got to be true. Also, you disagreeing with Fred makes that quote factually correct. Maybe so. Listen, don't cancel me tonight. We're only halfway through the stream. We got 2 more whiskeys to go. At least make it to the end of the stream before I get canceled. Fred said, I didn't know Sagamore did that. High West has done barrel picks finished in a barrel-aged Manhattan barrel, so all in one rather than individual components. Yes, have had that. Again, it was years ago, Fred. I'm pretty sure I reviewed it like 2019. Like, it would be an old video. It's one of the first Sagamore products I had, but I liked it a lot. It was a fun little experiment they did. So check out that video that might exist. It might not, but Clifton said so it does exist. Don't believe your eyes, people. That's what some people think. All right, anyways, let's move on before Cliffy gets rage. Cliffy just rage quits the stream. Let's go to the next one. So this one, similar but different. So we're going to move on to my revisit of the Van Duzen Straight Rye Whiskey. So this is batch number 1, by the way. So malted barley, 31%. It's a high malt mash. Look at that, 31% malted barley, 67% rye. So it's still a rye whiskey, and 2% wheat. This is a 94 proof bottle, barrel number 45, or barrels per batch, maybe is what that's saying. 45. Batch number 1. So I don't think there have been multiple batches of this. So this is the one I bought very recently, batch number 1, and it's named after Van Duzen, which is actually one of the peaks in California. There's a little bit of info here. It's I kind of ripped I didn't do a good job with preserving the tag, but it tells you the coordinates there, and it tells you the height at 3,500 feet. That's what I love about Redwood Empire. They tell you a little bit of a story with every bottle. I said this on my podcast earlier today, but I love a bottle that either tells you a story about a person or a place, or a conservation fund or something like that. I love learning new things through my whiskey journey. I mean, I talked about the Kentucky Senator release, which was one of my top 10 of 2025. Wow, what year are we in, guys? Top 10 whiskeys of 2025. It just tells you a little bit about different senators throughout Kentucky's history, and I think that's really fun to learn. So I love a bottle that teaches you something, that learns you something. 2019 video of Clifton. Oh, I bet he had a baby face. Wait, he still has a darling baby face. Oh, you wouldn't want to see the videos of me when I was a teenager on YouTube. I have quite a few of those. You probably don't know that. Why do I keep telling people that I have a history on YouTube? As if, like, I keep saying I want to cover up the fact that I used to have another YouTube channel, but then I keep mentioning it, like, casually. So then, like, people inevitably find it, and they find 16-year-old Cliffy making song parodies in his bedroom. So those still exist out there. Jailbait Clifton is wild. I did do some things that I'm not proud of on that channel. Many of those videos have since been removed from the internet by myself. So, don't want to go trip down that memory lane. Let's go ahead and trip down the memory lane of trying this whiskey again. Hell yeah, let's go. Let me pull up the page for it right here. So this is considered their small lot straight rye whiskey. It is a testament to our passion, patience, and pioneering spirit. Our small lot series allows us to continue our spirit of experimentation by applying our hard-won house style to products with a specific focus. This straight rye whiskey is in a league of its own. So this was only 45 barrels, like I thought. It has a large portion of malted barley in the rye mash. Pushing the boundaries of rye, this whiskey is as rare as it is unique. Distilled grain to glass, this small lot release was artfully blended from 45 barrels and bottled at 94 proof. Again, mash bill 67% rye, 31% malted barley, and 2% wheat. So this is fun. That's a very, very high rye. High malted barley. It's interesting because that bourbon we had earlier had a very strong malted barley flavor characteristic, but the rye, even though they said it was the highest rye they put into the rocket top, it didn't quite come through as much. But I have a feeling that this one, with it being that high of a malted barley, we're going to get quite a bit of that flavor in there. Removed to the Wayback Machine archive page to find them. Some web archivists has them somewhere. Listen, I have them myself on my computer, so if I ever get hacked, people can dig up some old videos that are probably going to get me canceled in 2026. But until that day happens, I'm going to sit here and enjoy whiskey with you fine folks. Let's go ahead and give the Van Duzen rye a nose. Oh, yeah. Very different. Very, very, very different. Now, we don't have an age statement, I don't think, on this one. I just want to make sure they put something. I'm sure they would have put something about minimum age. Distilled and bottled by Redwood Empire. Product of California. I'm not seeing a minimum age statement here, unfortunately. I thought maybe we would get that at least to kind of check some boxes. Yeah, it doesn't tell us here, so we don't know the age of this one. But I would guess probably around the same age as the 5-year rye that we had earlier. Maybe a little bit younger because it is an experiment, but it is a straight rye whiskey, so at least 3 years old. But on the nose, yeah, that's very much on track for the next whiskey. The last whiskey we're going to have is a malt whiskey from them. So we're going in the right direction here. High malt content, and that is for damn sure, because this almost smells like a single malt over a rye whiskey. Whereas I was getting those really bright, like a little bit of like maple notes on that bottled and bond rye. Yeah, super sweet, super, very obviously a rye. This on the nose, while there are elements of those rye grains there that are similar, it's obviously the same rye varietal that they're using. It's a very bright, very sweet rye that I can tell. But that's in the background on this rye whiskey because that malted barley is having such a huge impact on the flavor, at least on the nose, that the rye is like almost competing with it. And it's a good competition, right? Like a sweet minty kind of brightness from the rye, and then a bit of a cereal kind of grain for the malted barley. And kind of in the middle of that is the oak. Not quite as intense as the toy chest, as the bourbon we had earlier, or the maple as the rye we had earlier. But there's a decent amount of oak that's really kind of balancing the two together. It's like in between the like very sweet, bright, and the very corny, grainy. It's not corn, but grain quality of that malted barley. All right, enough nosing. Let's go for a taste. Cheers. So we're going down a little bit in proof. Oh. Mm-hmm. That made me second guess it. We're going down in proof a little bit, but there's so much flavor here. Ooh. You know what's funny? Because it kind of, that malted barley, even though it's we don't say the rye is malted or unmalted. I assume it's unmalted, or they would say that. It kind of does remind me of a malted rye because of so much malted barley in here. It has some similar flavor characteristics, but it's not as... Malted rye is something that I'm very finicky about. It's a flavor that I don't always love, but when I do get a well-done version of it, I do like it. This one doesn't quite take me to that level. It still feels like a traditional rye whiskey, but that malted barley does bring up some of those dustier, grainier... I don't want to say earthier because it's all earthy. Rye in general, I think, is earthy. But it's like a... don't know how to describe it. Let me just have another sip. Maybe I'll get it on the second sip. Grainy is the only thing I could say because I want to say dry hay. Like a little bit of a dry hay note, or like a dead grass, or like a tumbleweed, or a, what do you call those things that are on the like at the beach on the sand dunes, like the tall reeds? I don't ask me how I know what they taste like. Listen, I was a kid growing up on the beaches of South Carolina, and I definitely probably put a few in my mouth. So it's got a little bit of that really dry stalk like material. I don't know where I'm going with this. It has a dry stalk hay note to it, but it's complementing that brighter rye whiskey note. I think flavor wise, as much as I do like that rye whiskey earlier, this does taste like a complete special product. And I think these, if I remember correctly, these are priced a little bit higher. Like I said, I bought it on sale. So, actually, this is showing up as 80. Okay, so same price. For me, this is unique enough that I think it justifies the price. I think that the bottle and bond ones are good. They're on the right track. I just think they're a bit overpriced. This Van Duzen rye, though, and I probably said this before, it just tastes like a unique product unlike anything I've had before. And it's pretty damn good. Seagrass. Thank you, Emily. Sorry, I'm like glancing at the chat while I'm trying to research this bottle. Yeah, so like seagrass or sawgrass, I guess different people call it different things, but yeah, so it kind of has that note to it. You don't have to eat it. You don't have to be a weird kid like me. You can just smell it when you're walking through it. Oh, my mouse just froze. Small lot. Yeah, so it is. I mean, they said 45 barrels is small. I would say so. To me, 45 barrels sounds like a pretty small batch or small lot. Can you click the link in the email? Yeah, listen, I've taken my internet security courses, right? Tony compared to Beam or Heaven Hill. Exactly. Doug says that Old Forester rye is 20% malted barley. Copper Fox rye is 33% malted barley. I have not had Copper Fox rye, but I am a big fan of Old Forester rye. So maybe that's why I'm liking this as much, because to me it's unique, it's different. Old Forester rye, I don't want to say it's too different because like it's kind of one of my go-to ryes for cocktails. Just the standard Old Forester rye, but I do love the barrel proof one as well. Yeah. So far that's my favorite. But we got one more whiskey to drink. This is a different batch from the one that I tried last time I did a live stream. So I did have this one previously, but this is batch number 3. And Michael, can you remind me why you sent me this batch? I think I vaguely remember we had a conversation. It probably happened after our live stream, so that's why I vaguely remember. And you heard my comments about the one I reviewed, and then you said, "Oh, then I think you would really like this other batch instead." I feel like I remember the vagueness of that conversation. This is Redwood Empire Foggy Burl Distillery Edition, 4-year-old batch number 3. Again, I've had Foggy Burl before, and I think it might have been the favorite one that I had on that live stream. So maybe you said that, like, oh, if you like that one, then try this one as well. Maybe. I don't remember. Either way, maybe I should have rewatched the live stream before doing another live stream about it. I don't know, guys. I could have, I guess, but I've been busy today. So I'm going to give myself a pour of this one. This one's a 4-year-old, batch number 3. And like I said, this is a malt whiskey. Doug says, Emily, maybe pour some seagrass batch 1. Crazy. Oh my God, I love seagrass. That's a good call. Seagrass. Why did I not think of the name seagrass? Because I'm a big fan of barrel seagrass. Yeah, seagrass. I think I had batch 1 and I've had several batches since, and it's just such a fun whiskey. All right, let me pull up the page about Foggy Burl. It is a single malt whiskey, part of the small lot series, as with the Van Duzen rye we just had. This lot was only 35 barrels. It is 94 proof as well and made of 100% malted barley. I don't have the bottle in front of me, but I put it in the thumbnail. It looks like it is... They don't say the exact batch, so I don't know which one this one is on this page. It looks like normally it's a toasted and char number 3 barrel. They have multiple batches of it. This is batch number 3. The picture I have right here is batch number 2, so I'm not sure if it's... I don't want to show it because it could be different from the one we're drinking. By the way, Foggy Burl is among some of the tallest ever measured trees. It collects 40% of its water from the fog each year for sustainable independence. I remember talking about that last time we talked about that. What a fun tree. Like, it literally just, like, it collects its own water from fog. Like, that's, like, pretty damn cool. I'm not a tree scientist, but I do love wood. So I think I said that last year too. But so Doug says this was the one that I picked up at their grand opening on Mare Island last year, and I liked it more than the other. I reviewed them on my channel and drank the new one on a hike a la Whiskey Mountains. Very fun. You guys, like I said, go subscribe to Whiskey Sensory Shenanigans. If one of our mods wants to drop a link to his channel in the chat, please do. You guys go subscribe. I will definitely check that out, though. I must have missed that review, but I'd love to check it out. Also, shout out to Whiskey Mountains. Ooh, lovely nose. It's different, even though it's all malted barley. I've been highlighting malted barley all night in every single one of these other whiskeys. This is very different with it being 100%. It has a note to it that reminds me of my childhood. Not like a toy chest like earlier. This one's almost a little bit of like a old house. Like, it has kind of like a little bit of like a funky like old house note, which I don't think is a bad thing. You know, sometimes you walk into like an old farmhouse or something and it has like just like a, not like a mustiness, but it just has a bit of like a, I don't know how you would describe that. Like a dusty kind of smell, I guess I would say. But there's some sweetness there. There's some sweetness there as well. Not nearly as sweet as that Bottle and Bond rye whiskey. That was next level sweet. Thank you, Emily, for dropping the link. My car picks up water from fog also. Yeah, that's a nice nose. It definitely smells a little bit. It's that old house note, but combined with an mossy kind of note. It does have a moss quality to it, which is kind of funny with the name Foggy Burl. I almost wonder if they kind of thought the same when they were distilling this. They're like, it's a little bit earthy, a little bit like green moss on the forest floor kind of thing. Yeah, that's a fun nose. Like I said, I think I remember liking this best last time I tried it, but I'm glad to revisit it today. Zophar says antique store. Maybe, maybe. To me, it's more of the building itself than the actual items. So it's not like it's like it smells like an old doll or like an old chair or anything. To me, it's the building itself. So if it's an old antique store, yes. But if it's like a newer place, that's not what I'm necessarily getting here myself. Jeffrey Whack in the chat. Hello again, whiskey friends. Good to see you, Jeffrey. I saw you in Perry's chat earlier. I think we missed each other, but I think you had just left when I got there. So good to see you, man. Hope you are doing well. Another channel to go subscribe to. Hello again, whiskey friends. Mods, drop the link. I mean, Emily, I'm putting you to work today, but listen, it's all in support of other amazing creators. So I love the nose. Okay, I've just been sitting here smelling it. It's time I give it a taste. Cheers. Ooh, it's got a kick to it, but like a different kind of kick. That was strange. That was very strange of a palate, but I liked it. The first thing that hit me, weirdly enough, was like a bit of like a chili, like a bit of like a chili flake or like a chili pepper, not like a fresh one, but more of like a dried chili, and that caught me off guard. I was like, Michael, what did you do to this sample? Was my first thought, but then it developed into this really beautiful, beautiful palate. Now that I'm prepared for that bit of like it's not spicy. I don't want to say spicy, but it kind of has that flavor quality of like a dried chili flake, which I think that kind of fits with the nose of like the old house kind of thing, like an old spice store maybe. Maybe that's more familiar to people, like a spice store. You open it up in an old house. Yeah, spices up front, like a spice drawer. Mid palate, that malted barley, it's almost like a roasted coffee bean. Almost like a, it reminds me of this is a very specific example, but it reminds me of, I went to a chocolatier in the Great Smoky Mountains somewhere, and they had a white chocolate bar, but with the white chocolate, they had ground up like very finely some espresso beans, and it was just the roasted espresso beans. That's the flavor I'm getting here, like just finely ground espresso beans, not bitter per se. Almost that white chocolate from that candy bar that I'm thinking of reminds me of the fact that it like mellowed out that bitterness that you would kind of expect from that. Interesting, very, very interesting. Yeah, I mean, it has a little bit of that mossy quality to it that I thought on the nose, but it to me, it's ground up coffee beans, sweet, almost like you drizzled honey over them, maybe. It's like a honey sweetness, coffee bean. That's really unique. I mean, I have a hard time saying that's not my favorite because that is such a flavor. That's a flavor that I've never had before, and I think, whether or not it compares to what I said about the first Foggy Burl I had on that live stream 6 months ago, now I definitely want to go check out that replay, by the way. That is such a unique tasting American single malt, unlike anything I've had before. I gotta say that's my favorite again. That is so fun. Yeah. That is so good. It's funny how it goes from like a bit of like a chili spice to like a sweet. That really is one of the most interesting tasting whiskeys I've ever had. I think I tried to buy this from K&L when this first came out. This one retail, by the way, is $100. I think they were sold out, but it looks like I can buy it from Redwood Empire directly. If this is available right now on K&L, I'm going to place an order. And I know I shouldn't, because Cliffy should not be whiskey shopping after a live stream. He tends to buy things he can't quite afford. They don't have it in stock, unfortunately. Okay, well, once they do, maybe I'll think about it when I got my sober lens on, not my after stream lens. That is so good. Yeah, that's my absolute favorite. I think the Duzen rye, I almost said Van Winkle rye, different product. Uh, Van Dusen Rye is my second favorite. Third favorite is the Bottle and Bond Rye. And then the bourbon, even though I think it's a solid bourbon, it's my last place because I think it needs a couple more years to really be a more refined product. Something funky. Oh, you're talking about her stream. Oh, he did send me. So yeah, Michael did send me one more sample, but it's not a Redwood Empire. It's a Long Grow Peated Campbelltown. This was the last one in the set, but I didn't want to do this with these because I feel like it's a very, it's like going from like chocolate to like, I don't know, marzipan or something like really very not. Actually, marzipan's not what I was thinking. I was thinking of Vegemite. It's like going from like a nice chocolate dessert to Vegemite. I don't have a good history with Campbelltown, but I'm willing to give it a try for Michael. Michael, if you're going to join us for the after party hangout, I'll try this on that. If you can't, no worries. But if you want to join us there, I'll drink this there. Give my thoughts. Tony said, I can't think of a single bad decision Cliffy has made. Right. War flashbacks in my head right now. And with that, we're going to call this stream a end. Just kidding. Michael said I can try to pick you up on Saturday. I'll be at the distillery doing a haystack needle tasting with Lauren and others. Don't worry about it, man. I'll get it eventually. I just did a quick search right now. I really don't need to be buying bourbon right now. I technically next week is my final week of getting paid after getting laid off. They did extend my pay a little bit. So as of next week, I will officially not have a paycheck coming in, other than your amazing support on Patreon and the Bite Club. By the way, if you guys want to support the channel, wow, great way to me to plug it. But bourbonbites.com, you can join for as little as $2 a month and help my unemployed ass buy more whiskey. But you can also support for higher tiers like our $5 monthly movie night, our $10, I don't have two hands, so I can't do $10. $10 after party hangout, I still have the $20 here. $50 secret subscription box tasting where I send you some samples to try. And I do have one Bourbon Daddy, but I do have a second Bourbon Daddy slot open. If you want to support me at the $100 tier, you can be my Bourbon Daddy number 2, because what's better than one daddy? 2 daddies. All right. With that, thank you all so much for watching. This little bit of the stream went a little bit off the deep end, but it was still a ton of fun. Thank you again, Michael, for these samples. I really enjoyed them. I love revisiting this distillery, especially being based out of here in Southern California, or California, sorry, they're Northern California. Trying great whiskey from a distillery in my state makes me really excited. So thank you for sharing. I will definitely be buying a bottle of that if I see it pop up once I can afford a bottle of whiskey. Cheers, y'all. Thank you. I will see you guys next Thursday for another live stream. Like I said, there's a new podcast out that came out this morning. If you missed it, it's a review of Van Winkle Special Reserve Lot B Bourbon. So check that out. Thanks to Tony. But until next time, this has been Bourbon Bites, a whiskey review channel with a gaming twist. Cheers, and I'll see you next Thursday. Bye.